Okay, this is the back cover off the NP 247 transfer case. This come off my Grand Cherokee 2002 Overland, and as you can see, I have the mating surfaces clean on the front where the tail shaft is, and also the mating surface is ready to go on the back side. I cleaned it out, wiped it out, bearings good. The case is held on by, first you have to remove, there's 15 millimeter bolts that go around, and then there's 3 or 4, I can't remember, the 10 millimeter star bolts that you have to remove, the longer bolts. The first thing you have to do though, while you're under the vehicle, is remove the tail shaft housing. This is the tail shaft housing. It sits like so. And one of the trickier things about the 247 is that, especially if you're doing it with it in the vehicle, is that at the top, as you can see this slot right here, there's a rubber boot that you have to take out, and you have to access this snap ring right there. You can see it between my 2 fingers moving it around. You have to, I used these special because I bent them this way so I could access it. Snap ring pliers that fit down inside of the hole, and then I placed them, oh sorry about that, between the two where I could open it right up. And once you do that, this housing just slides right off very easy. I had to bend them this way because there's not a whole lot of access room when you're under the vehicle. This allowed me to get in and open it up and just slide it right off. Once you get all the bolts out, there's 2 lugs made on the case, one on this side, one on the back case. They show diagrams I've seen using 2 pry bars or whatever, but mine simply broke loose with the back end of the breaker bar. Put it in there and just popped it loose. This side was a little stiffer, but on the Overland there's a transfer case and there's a hole just about perfect where you can, I slid my breaker bar up inside, got under this lug and used the leverage from the case and just popped it loose like that, and it just broke right loose. Once that's popped loose, this just slid right off. I made sure this stayed in, everything stayed in while I slid the cover off. I'm planning on using the Mega Black. This is the VersaChem product, but of course Permatex makes a similar product. But any of the blacks, like for your differentials or your high temp silicone gasket makers, are the best things to use for this application. Here's the magnet. My magnet was in really bad shape. It actually looked like thick grease was on it, but of course it was all metal shavings that were attached to the magnet, and I'm sure it was from how bad a shape my chain was in, because it was really slack. And take a second and show you the special rig I made for this snap ring, because when you're up under the Jeep, this snap ring is not that easy to, number one, see. It's not that difficult to get to, but you really can't see what you're doing. So I took a inexpensive pair of snap ring pliers, actually bent my own angle on the ends, and then bent the handles down, because see, once you're in there, I actually went in like this. Once you're under there, you don't have a whole lot of room between the body and the transfer case. This allowed me to get down inside, go against each side of the snap ring, and I was able to just pry it apart just like that. Do yourself a favor, do this exactly the same way, and you'll avoid a lot of headaches. It's really hard to get to. Yeah, not supposed to be any slack in these transfer case chains. I think I got a little bit of slack. I think this chain needs to be changed. What do you think? Oh my gosh. Let's see where it's been rubbing on the bottom, rubbing on the whole pickup. That chain is long in being changed, which I'm going to do tomorrow. Okay, now as you can see, the cover is off and it slid right straight back off of the transfer case, and I'll still have to go in and clean up the mating surface on the case itself. But other than that, I wiped the case out. Don't forget your magnet. Mine was completely full of minute, real small, and almost looked like grease, but it was shards, and I believe they're probably of metal. Came from all kind of different areas. As you can see right here, you can see where the slap of the chain had been just barely knocking against the case. My chain was severely slack. Then you have a simple snap type ring, retaining ring that comes off of here. That was not a problem at all to change. And then once you wiggle the gear off, it gives you enough room to drop it onto the shaft, and then you have enough slack to take the chain off and then just slide it off the converter. And there's your gear. Even though mine was slipping, this is not too bad a shape, so I'm going to put it back on and reuse the gear. So there you have it. And I'll be documenting putting the cover back on and the new chain as soon as I get it shipped and it comes in. The chain was hard to find. No local auto parts, Napa, or anyone had it. I had to order it online, so once it comes in, I'll button her back up.